Wet springs and wet summer usually brings opportunities, but they also bring challenges for harvesting. Normally at this time of the year, like here it is, it's summertime, early summertime now. It usually should be about 40 degrees and 6% humidity, but here we are, on this particular day, it's probably only 20, maybe not even. And it's been raining, but we've had these types of years before. They're not common, but we've had them, and it's just a matter of dealing with them, acknowledge with them, and getting prepared for them for harvest. Now, harvest is going to be longer, it'll take more time, it's going to be more costly, but you'll need patience to get through these things because the crops are probably going to be lodged, definitely going to be damp ground, which brings all sorts of problems, but they can be done. It's just a matter of setting up the front and the machine and all the auxiliary behind it, because there's a fair chance you might get bogged as well. So we need to address and accommodate and acknowledge all those potential problems. And if it doesn't happen, that's a good thing, but it's likely to happen at the moment. Doing lodged crops, and it doesn't matter whether they're cereals or rice or anything like that, the first point of contact with the crop is the front, and particularly dividers and things like that. But this cutter bar and knife sections and knife guards must be in excellent condition, because in these types of years where there's a lot of moisture in the ground, you're probably going to have a lot of green growth coming through, as well as you're cutting a lot more material because the crop is lodged, so they must be in really, really good order. Same as all the fingers on the reel, they must be good. All that setup of the reel, they needs to be the right configuration, and like on these MacDons, you can advance, like every other front, you can advance and retard the aggressiveness of these. You may need to make them a little bit more aggressive because to help pick it up and get it onto the draper mat. Now we move on to the dividers. Now dividers are very important to try and get that crop divided before it hits the cutter bar, because if you've got lumps and things like that going through the cutter bar onto the mats, well, you've got a lump all the way going through the machine. So you're best to have really good dividers, and this is it's a modified MacDon one. The divider will start dividing the material, and then we have, like I have these rods here, which keeps that material away from that side wall, because you don't want material coming from the side wall here and going on the side of the reel, because all it'll do is get back up on the back wall and get caught. So these side rods direct material as close to these outside fingers on the reel, so it gives a nice even feed and ends on the mat as an even feed. Can't stress the important enough, that matter for an even feed at the front. The last thing you want to do is having material go up here and get caught on the ram, because then you'll have big lumps of material going through, and you just got to have that nice even feed going through the machine. So now we're talking about the transition from the side draper mats to the centre mat and then through the retractable finger drum. We've got to make sure all these guides in the retractable fingers are all in very good condition, and the fingers, because we're going to have tough conditions. You remember there's going to be straw and probably weeds coming through here into the machine as well. The height of the drum, like the spiral from the drum, needs to be checked, and you can do that on the machine. The adjustment of that chain needs to be checked to make sure that's right, and they just really need to be monitored. So the whole thing is to try and have that nice even feed in very difficult conditions through into the feeder house of the machine. Okay, so now we're going to talk from the transition from the back of the front into the feeder house. So the feeder chain has got to be tight, the feeder drum has got to be the right height, and these side shields, all machines have got them, they must be maintained, because we're going to be dealing with lodged long crop with probably green weeds in it, and we do not want material going down the sides down here, because it'll wrap up against the top feeder shaft back up there, and you've got to flip a chain off. So now we move into the thrashing, and so with that's in these, it's concaves and rotors. So concaves need to be in excellent condition, and so do the rotor bars. Anyway, you can't see the rotor bars, but they're all hiding behind the concaves. So those concaves need to be in excellent condition. In these machines, there's a case machines, and every other machine, the concaves need to be level, and in case machines, they need to be centered into the rotor. They will probably run serial bars on the rotor, and then after here in what's called the separation area is in this area here, because we're going to have a lot of draw, but it's high moisture, potentially a lot of weeds going through too. You need maximum separation. So that's always running spiked rotor bars back here, plus large skip wire separator grates. There's going to be weeds, lodge crop, probably wet ground, probably going to get bogged some stage. You will be using more fuel. It's going to take longer to do. There's going to be other issues of transporting gear, as in grain carts to trucks or whatever, and actually getting trucks close to the paddock. So this all needs a lot of contingency thinking, and it also needs a lot of patience. That's probably one of the biggest things we need to acknowledge. It is need a lot of patience to get through.
This video is brought to you by Irrigated Cropping Council, funded through Grain's Research and Development Corporation's Optimising Irrigated Grains project.